So the way this goes is Victor told you all about all the stuff that's going on, and he put out a call for help. And I guess my job is to bring that home. So this was originally, good grief. This was originally put to me in terms of specifically, now I don't have any volume to do it. You said no slides, so I didn't bother. Okay. So this is pitch is a little bit more aimed at those of you who are still PhD students or postdocs getting started in your career. I think most of what I have to say kind of goes for everybody, but this is sort of my motivations for why I am a participant, an active participant in the working groups and in the air community and all the stuff that Victor showed. I think that the benefits to those of us who participate, I kind of categorize them as the who, what, and the why. And I think the who is maybe the easiest and the most important. So we have, in some sense, it's networking. And you're all here at the meeting, and you're all meeting people and hopefully making connections that you're going to continue and maintain past. But if you leave the meeting and go back to your desk or your bench and it's just a couple of emails here and there, it's not the same. Yesterday I was up here in the evening to give a talk about an immunogenetics project. And the story for me is when I came from a B-cell background, specifically looking at HIV BNAbs. And those things are so mutated that it feels almost like the germline doesn't matter. I mean, that's not true, as we heard from Bill Sheaf yesterday. But it kind of feels like the germline doesn't matter when you're looking at 30% somatic hypermutation. And my introduction to immunogenetics came at the 2016 AIR meeting from Corey Watson, who was up here yesterday leading the session. And he kind of had to give me the personal version of what we heard yesterday from him and William Lees about why it actually matters. The conversation specifically was about IGHV 4-4*08, which I naively said should just be renamed as 459 because they're identical or close to identical in sequence. And Corey had to educate me on why it actually mattered, where they were in the genome, and why the naming was that. And of course, we've come a long way from that, figuring out that maybe that naming just doesn't work at all. But and I've continued to rely on these connections to build my career, right? So when I started in the air community as a postdoc in 2015 at the Vancouver meeting, and I in 2016, I moved to the Vaccine Research Center as a staff scientist. And one of the projects that I was asked to work on as I started there was an immunogenetics project, where we had some old data. It was old at the time in 2016. That was done with short reads. So it was somebody baited out IGH and done 2x75 sequencing of the resulting pull down. And around the end of 2017, a paper came out in Journal of Immunology trying to do something very similar with 1,000 genomes data. And when I saw the paper, I was like, oh, this is how we make progress on our data set. And it was my connections in the air community and the people that I know here and the things that I've learned here that kept me from writing what probably would have been a really bad paper. That data actually still hasn't been published because it's, as I think you can appreciate after yesterday's presentations from Jana and others, that's not a good way to do the IGH locus. I've had other benefits to my career. I have been invited to give a couple of talks, primarily because of the relationships that I've made here. I have a postdoc who joined my lab about a year ago, who is, came from AirC connections. So, networking is always important, and this is just one venue in which you can network. But because it's a hands-on community, if you join the working groups, if you really get involved, it's a next level kind of thing. And I really want to hopefully convey to you like how much real benefit there is to you for doing that. So that's the who. In terms of the what, I think especially since this was supposed to be targeted towards PhDs and postdocs, there's a sense sometimes of maybe I'm not an expert in the field. I'm just getting started. It's a new field to me. I'm learning stuff. What do I have to contribute to a working group? I think that actually puts the question exactly backwards. We're not really looking for people who are deep domain experts when we're talking about these working groups. Some familiarity helps, but if the answers were there for the domain experts, we wouldn't need to have working groups, right? The working groups are for deep thinking, and what we need are people who are good thinkers and can really take the time to learn stuff and to figure stuff out and to think collaboratively. And all of those are skills that are going to feed back into your research. I mean, it is research in a form. And so I think that the what is that you really actually get benefit to your own science in joining working groups and in helping this sort of thing. I can tell you, I've been a member of the file formats committee back when that was a working group. I've been the co-chair of software for a long time. I've been on the standards working group. I've been on the germline working group, and I'm not actually on IARC. I was sort of in the discussions where that was formed, and all of those have helped hone my craft. All those experiences have made me a better scientist, have helped hone my craft, and have taught me things that I probably wouldn't have learned otherwise. So that's the what. And then finally, there's a why. And I think the why to me is a matter of perspective. Being a part of the AIR community and being an active member of the working groups or the subcommittees or the task force or whatever else we have, Christian, it gives you a better perspective on the place, the meaning, and the importance of your own work. Of course, this is closely tied to the who and the what, right? So if you learn more about different things, then you can see how things fit together better. You can understand where your work places in the field. But I think that kind of broader perspective is helpful. As a bioinformatician who has, at points in my career, been in mostly bench lab environments, sometimes there can be a bit of compartmentalization or isolation. And so being part of this wonderful group of people that really are all working sort of in the same broadly painted area, is really gives you some perspective. I don't know that I would know much about AI or machine learning without having been into some of the discussions that we had. So that's the who, the what, and the why that I would encourage you to bring your participation in the AIRC beyond this week. And just to end up with the how, even though Victor kind of covered this, and we just heard from Victor all the different things that have been going on in the reports. We have a poster session later this morning where you can come and talk to members of the working groups and see our posters, see what we've been doing, and really get a feel. We heard from Victor that we're going to get a strategic group planning report on Thursday, and all these things. Just listen. If you hear something that interests you, or maybe sounds like something that might be a fit for some skills that you have, speak up. Come talk to us, like Victor said. You don't have to be like those of us who have been involved in AIRC for a decade now. There are plenty of us who have done that, and if you end up coming that route, we welcome you. But you don't have to be daunted by the fact that a lot of us here on the stage have been doing this for a long time. We are perfectly happy. Come join a working group for a 2-year interval, like Christian was just telling us. See how it fits. It's pretty casual. I can tell you I've been on 4 or 5 different working groups over the years, and I can tell you they're all pretty casual. It's good camaraderie, and it doesn't have to feel like a big commitment. So that's my pitch. Hope to see you on Zoom.